Local bakery claims the presence of immigration, customs, and enforcement agents in Charlotte last year cost the business tens of thousands of dollars.
That is according to a lawsuit filed against the Department of Homeland Security. The owner of Manolo Bakery closed for a week last November due to intimidation fears from ICE during Operation Charlotte's Web. That lawsuit states that closure cost the business at least $50,000. It are now dealing with a worker shortage, with employees quitting due to not feeling safe at work.
All right, joining us now, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rose, to break this down. Khalif, when you're suing DHS, several things that you have to be able to prove. First of all, looking at this lawsuit, what's the likelihood it passes the smell test here?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the lawsuit. We looked at this one before. There are a number of things in here. They're talking about the unlawful arrest, the warrantless arrest, but then tucked inside of there, they list a number of folks that were affected by the Operation Charlotte's Web. You talk about, first of all, the person with the laundromat, but then you talk about the individual with the bakery. We all know that's Manolo's. I've been there, hundreds of times, a Charlotte staple. And so this individual, he goes and looks at his books, has his accountant look and say, well, last year during that same time, you made $50,000 to $64,000. So you can put a dollar amount on what this cost you. Now, can you directly connect their action here to your cost? That's going to be a lot harder, or easier, I should say, said than done. Specifically, it said that did their presence alone cost that? And then do they have any duty, I guess, to not interfere with their business? Yeah, there's a tortious interference, there's a negligence interference, but did their mere presence, did their action alone cause but for their action, would you have still made that amount? That's something that you're going to have to be able to prove, and I think that's going to be a larger stretch. That's why in the lawsuit, they're asking for a number of things. They're asking for a class first, but then they're asking for them to declare that they can't do the warrantless arrest, but then they're asking for a cost. But that's their last request. I'm not sure if that's the strongest request in this complaint.
Which side would be easier for you to defend?
The government in this scenario,
really?
For sure.
Yeah.
I can say we were here, we were doing our job that we were lawfully here doing. We have a number of protections around us in terms of criminal and civil liability because we're federal agents. So you attempting to bring this civil claim against us, I believe, would be barred. But then if for some reason you're saying that you can still go forward with this claim, you have to prove that I was the direct cause of your losses, and I think it's going to be harder for them to prove that.
Is it also hard because, excuse me, is the case also stronger or weaker because the business decided to close on its own, not staying open, and they just didn't get any customers?
Yeah, I think that's also what I would point to. Like, there was no forced action to close. There was nothing where we boarded up your business. If that would have occurred, I think then yes, then they'd have a stronger claim. But this was a decision that they lawfully made, and it was a decision that he made that was he believed it was in the best interest of his employees. He had witnessed them arresting individuals and detaining people on the street, and so he made the call to shut it down for that week so that he wouldn't put his customers or his employees at risk to being detained or arrested. And these are folks, his employees, he mentioned, U.S. citizens or non-citizens that had papers to be working in America. So they were rightfully here. He just didn't want to have any concern or any issue. But I think what your point is that wasn't forced on him by the government directly. Now, indirectly it was.
Khalif, when you look at something where DHS had the approval of the government to go in there to do the immigration sweep as they did here, how does that kind of combat the strength of the lawsuit, saying, well, this was an approved government action for them to be here?
Yeah, I think for sure that I would hammer home on that. And if you look at the complaint, I don't think the total complaint is dead. I think that the warrantless arrest portion, I think the unchecking and verifying the individual's escape status, that's the second component. I think that's strong. I think they would declare that what they were doing, that action right there was unlawful. But in terms of the cost, attorney costs and actual cost loss, I think that's going to be extremely hard for these businesses to recover. The laundromat said they lost 50% of their business during that time as well. So both companies, significant losses. I'm just not sure how you recover that from the government.
All right, Khalif, thank you very much. Appreciate that for your time this morning.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.